Good day, Grade 7. Today's discussion will be about Science 7, Quarter 4, Module 6, Position of the Sun in the Sky and the Energy Received on Earth. The content of this video is taken from the self-learning modules produced by the Learning Resource Management and Development System of the Schools Division of Bulacan. Objectives: relate the height of the sun in the sky and the latitude of an area to the amount of energy received. At the end of this module, you are expected to 1. Describe the position of the sun in the sky. 2. Identify areas that receives more sunlight based on the distance of the sun in the sky. And number 3. Explain the relationship of the sun's distance to the earth and the energy received. What I know. Choose the letter of the best answer. Write the letter of your choice on your answer sheet. See pages 1 to 2 of Quarter 4, Module 6. What's in? In your previous lesson, you have learned global atmospheric phenomena. It is important that you still know its relevance to our environment. Greenhouse effect. Directions: write true if the statement is correct and false if it is not. Number 1. Greenhouse allows sunlight to enter but prevent heat from escaping. Answer: true. Number 2. Earth's atmosphere contains only nitrogen and oxygen. Answer: false. Number 3. When Earth's atmosphere warms up, it is called greenhouse effect. Answer: true. Number 4. The greenhouse effect is a natural process and it cools the earth. Answer: false. Number 5. The increasing temperature phenomenon is known as global warming. Answer: true. Land breeze and sea breeze. Directions: underline the correct answer from the choices inside the parentheses. Number 1. During the day, the land heats up faster than bodies of water. 2. During the night, the land heats up slower than bodies of water. Number 3. Warm air rises. Number 4. The moving air or wind from land is called land breeze. Number 5. The moving air as a light wind is called sea breeze. Monsoons. Directions: identify what is being described in each statement. Choose your answer from the box below. Number 1. It is a wind system. Answer: monsoon. Number 2. This wind brought us lots of rain. Answer: habagat. Number 3. This wind brought us cold air. Answer: amihan. Number 5. It is the place where winds in the tropics meet. Answer: ITCZ. What's new? Directions: study the figure below, choose your answers from the box, and answer the questions that follow. Number 1. Axis. Number 2. Equator. Number 3. North Pole. Number 4. Wide area. Number 5. Narrow area. And number 6. South Pole. Question 1. What area on Earth received direct sunlight? Answer: narrow area, or areas near the equator. Next, number 2. What area on Earth received less amount of sunlight? Answer: the wide area or areas at higher latitudes. And number 3. What do you think is the temperature of area that received direct sunlight? Answer: high temperature. Position of the sun in the sky and the energy received on Earth. The Earth's axis is an imaginary line where the Earth spins. The Earth's shape is not rounded but elliptical, and it is tilted 23.5 degrees relative to our plane of orbit. The Earth's axis is an imaginary line going right through the center of Earth from top to bottom. The Earth spins around this pole, making one complete turn each day. That is why we have day and night, and why every part of Earth's surface gets some of each. The Earth has seasons because the Earth's axis doesn't stand up straight. The Earth orbits around the Sun in a fixed location in space. The Sun seems moving because the Earth is turning on its axis. During the Earth's orbit around the Sun each year, different parts of the Earth receive different amount of sunlight. In our country, not all places has the same amount of energy received from the Sun. The Earth's revolution around the Sun determines the seasons. Equinoxes occur when parts of the Earth experience equal amounts of daylight and dark. This happens during the month of March and the month of September. Solstices occur on days experiencing the most sunlight during the month of June and the least sunlight during the month of December. Figure 1 shows the sun's rays striking the surface in narrow or smaller area receive more sunlight. A wider or larger area receive less sunlight. When the sun's rays strike the Earth's surface near the equator, the incoming solar radiation is more direct or spread over a narrow area. At higher latitudes, the angle of solar radiation is lower, causing energy to be spread over a wide area of the surface and cooler temperatures. When the sun is direct on Earth, its rays are most intense, with an angle of 90 degrees. It means more energy is received by the Earth. As the area increases, intensity decreases and the angle is lower. It means less energy is received by the Earth. In this illustration, we could see that sunlight strikes the equator most directly. So the equator receives the intense rays of the sun with an angle of 90 degrees. Now, as the latitude becomes higher, the angle of the sun's rays become lower. So low angle of incoming sunlight means that the energy received by the Earth is lesser. Figure 2 shows that a smaller area in direct rays from the sun has a higher angle compared to oblique rays with a larger area. So what's the angle got to do with it? So when we say direct rays, it means that the rays of the sun hit the ground at 90 degrees. The rays are vertical or perpendicular to the ground. When the sun's rays strike the ground at a high angle, each square meter of the ground receives greater amount of solar energy than when the rays are inclined. The result is greater warming. Now, on the other hand, when the sun's rays come in at an oblique angle, each square meter of the ground will receive lesser amount of solar energy. That's because at lower angles, solar energy will be distributed over a wide area. The place will then experience less heating up. So in this picture, this area will have a higher temperature because of the direct rays coming from the sun. Now, this area will have a lower temperature because of the oblique rays coming from the sun. Climate system and energy received in the Philippines. The Philippines is a tropical country. Its location is near the equator between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. This is the reason why the climate of the Philippines is characterized by a high temperature, high humidity, and abundant rainfall. The climate of the Philippines is tropical and maritime. The coolest months fall in January with a mean temperature of 25.5 degrees Celsius, while the warmest month occurs in May with a mean temperature of 28.3 degrees Celsius. The tropics have a tropical climate because of the direct rays of the sun. The intense sun warms the water of the tropics and heats the air above it, making it more humid that cause more rainfall. The tropics are regions of the earth that lie roughly in the middle of the globe. The tropics are found between the lines of latitude of the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. The tropics include the equator and parts of North America, South America, Africa, Asia, and Australia. The tropics account for 36% of the Earth's landmass and are home to about a third of the world's people. The tropics are warm all year. This is because the tropics gets more exposure to the sun. Because of all that sun, the tropics don't experience the kind of seasons the rest of the earth does. The tropical seasons are broken up into just two, the wet season and the dry season. The map shows certain places, areas with lines, that receives the greatest amount of rainfall, like in Eastern Visayas, Samar, Bicol Region, Northern Luzon, Eastern Surigao, and Mindanao, while the southern portion of Cotabato receives lesser amount of rain. Rainfall distribution throughout the country varies from region to region, depending on the location of mountain systems. Temperature in different places on Earth. The sun warms the planet, and different places on it receive an equal amount of temperature. In polar regions, less energy is received and the temperature is colder. The northern temperate zone is located between the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle at 23.5 degrees to 66.5 degrees north, while the southern temperate zone is between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle at 23.5 degrees to 66.5 degrees south. In this illustration, we could see the different parallels of latitude. So we have the equator at 0 degree, Tropic of Cancer at 23.5 degrees north, Arctic Circle at 66.5 degrees north, the Tropic of Capricorn at 23.5 degrees south, and the Antarctic Circle at 66.5 degrees south. So within the Arctic Circle and the Antarctic Circle are your polar regions or the frigid zone. So in these areas, there is lesser amount of energy coming from the sun. That is why the temperature is very cold. Between the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle, we have the North Temperate Zone. And between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle, we have the South Temperate Zone. Places in these temperate zones are most likely to have different ranges in temperature and more seasonal changes, like in Western countries like Canada, New Zealand, North America, and Western Europe. The closer to the poles, the lesser energy received from the sun in due time and the colder the place is. The temperate climates of Earth occur in the middle latitudes, which span between the tropics and the polar regions of Earth. So where is a temperate climate located? They are found in the northern temperate zone and in the southern temperate zone. These zones generally have wider temperature ranges throughout the year and more distinct seasonal changes compared to tropical climates where such variations are often small. In the Philippines, although it is tropical, there are still places that vary its temperature because of its location or altitude, like in Baguio. Baguio has a high altitude and far from the sea. Baguio has lower temperature compared to other places. That is why it is called the summer capital of the Philippines. Owing to its high elevation in the mountainous Benguet region, the temperature is 8 degrees Celsius lower compared to the average temperature of the rest of the country. The lowest recorded temperature in Baguio was 6.3 degrees Celsius on January 18, 1961. Balanced energy distribution on Earth. Our planet attains its balanced energy distribution even if there is an unequal amount of temperature received in different parts of the Earth. The incoming energy of the sun is the energy used up by most of the living and non-living things. The outgoing energy is redistributed from the equator toward the poles and the Earth's surface and released to the atmosphere back to the space. The net flow of energy into and out of the Earth system is called Earth's energy budget of equilibrium. Earth's energy budget describes the balance between the radiant energy that reaches Earth from the sun and the energy that flows from Earth back out to space. The Earth atmosphere system is constantly trying to maintain a balance between the energy that reaches the Earth from the sun and the energy that flows from Earth back out to space. If the Earth system is changed either through natural phenomena such as volcanoes or man's activities, and an imbalance in the Earth's energy budget occurs, the Earth's temperature will eventually increase or decrease in order to restore an energy balance. When the net flow is disturbed, global temperatures either rise or fall. It results to climate change. Climate change is a long-term change in the average weather patterns that have come to define Earth's local, regional, and global climates. Climate change also increases the appearance of more violent weather phenomena, drought, fires, the death of animal and plant species, flooding from rivers and lakes, the creation of climate refugees, and destruction of the food chain, economic resources, especially in developing countries. Let us now discuss the different activities that you need to answer in What's More. Independent Activity 1. Carefully study the figure and answer the questions below. Question 1. What does the figure show? 2. Which hemisphere receives direct rays from the sun, the northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere? 3. Which pole receives greater energy from the sun? 4. Which pole receives lesser energy from the sun? And 5. Why do you think different poles receive different amount of energy as the Earth spins? Independent Assessment 1, Part A. Complete the statements and choose your answer from the box below. Your choices are higher, different, Arctic, equator, smaller, Antarctic, polar region, colder, lower, and larger. Independent Assessment 1, Part B, Word Hunt. Find the 5 places in the Philippines that receives the greatest amount of rainfall in the puzzle. Words can be formed forward and backwards, diagonally, vertically, or horizontally. Independent Activity 2. Carefully study the figure and answer the questions below. Question 1. What does the figure show? 2. What do the arrows represent? 3. What is the angle of the sun's rays toward the ground? 4. Describe the position of the arrows. And 5. How much solar energy does the Earth receive if this is the sun's rays position, greater or lesser? Independent Assessment 2. Carefully study the figure and answer the questions below. Question 1. What does the figure show? 2. Which hemisphere receives direct rays from the sun? The northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere? 3. Which pole receives greater energy from the sun? 4. Which pole receives lesser energy from the sun? And number 5. Why do you think different poles receive different amount of energy as the Earth spins? Independent Activity 3. Carefully study the figure and answer the questions below. Question 1. What does the figure show? 2. What do the arrows represent? 3. What is the angle of the sun's rays toward the ground? 4. Describe the position of the arrows. And 5. How much solar energy does the Earth receive if this is the sun's rays position, greater or lesser? Independent assessment tree. If the statement is true, put a check mark and a cross mark if it is false. What I have learned. Directions. Complete the following statements and write your answer on your answer sheet. What I can do. Earth's rotation. Materials. Ball or balloon which can be hung from the ceiling. A string, marker or sticker, flashlight, curtains to darken the room. Warning: be careful in hanging the balloon in your ceiling. Make sure you choose the lowest part of your house for your safety. In using flashlight, make sure to use a new battery or it must not be defected to avoid chemical poisoning. Directions. Number 1. Make your own model of the Earth or globe at home using the balloon or ball. Draw the equator and mark the north and south poles using marker. 2. Use a dot or sticker to locate your place on the globe. 3. Hang the balloon or ball from the ceiling. It should be at about eye level height. The ball or balloon represents the Earth. 4. Make the room dark. Turn on the flashlight and make it steady in position. The light represents the sun. 5. You can walk around the ball or balloon so that you can see it entirely. Does it all light up by the flashlight? Guide question. Q1. Did all parts of the balloon or ball receive light? What is the percentage of the dark part? Q2. The lighted area represents daytime and the dark area represents nighttime. Is your dot or sticker in daytime or nighttime? Q3. Now, turn the ball or balloon counterclockwise half a turn. Is your dot or sticker in daytime or nighttime? Q4. Continue turning the globe counterclockwise until your dot or sticker returns in its original position and lit again. How long would it take on Earth for the dot to complete one rotation like this? Assessment. Choose the letter of the best answer. Write your answer on your answer sheet. See pages 14 to 15 of Quarter 4, Module 6. Additional activity, performance task number 4.6. Directions, watch the video about day and night using this link. Then, answer the following questions based on the video. Number 1, how many times does the Earth rotate in 24 hours? 2, what does the half of the Earth facing the Sun experience? How about the other half facing away from the Sun? 3. Why do different countries don't have the same timeline? Science 7, Quarter 4, Module 6, Position of the Sun in the Sky and the Energy Received on Earth. Answer the following on your answer sheet. What I know, what's more, independent activities 1, 2, 3, independent assessments 1, 2, 3, what I have learned, what I can do, assessment, and the additional activities. The additional activity will be your performance task number 4.6. Upload your answer sheets in PDF format in your Google Drive folder. The path is Science 7, Quarter 4, Module 6. Or send them in JPEG format to my messenger. Thank you for attending our Science 7 online class. God bless you all.